fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your movie apprentice, and 2022 is officially behind us. We are now a few days into the new year, and I am here to finally give you my list of my top 10 films of 2022. I didn't see as many movies as I wanted to see last year. I saw a total of 85 new films that either just came out in the UK or are available at the London Film Festival. And this is how I'm going to rank them all. But to start off with, let's go through a few honourable mentions. After Sun, a heartfelt, emotional tale about a father and daughter. The Woman in the White Car, a directorial debut that is full of twists and turns. Bros, one of the funniest comedies I have seen in over a decade. The Forgiven, a Ray Fiennes dominated expose on the differences between cultures. Scream 5, a very big return to the franchise, and Barbarian, a very unique horror movie that stood out amongst many, many others in a strong year of horror. But with all that being said, let's get into this top 10. Nightmare Alley is one of two Del Toro movies featuring in this, and I really enjoy the aesthetic of this movie. It's a remake of an old movie about a person that gets involved in a carnival and becomes an out and out con man. This film was very long, was very well acted, especially by Bradley Cooper as our lead. The way the story slowly unfolds over that 3 hour runtime, it just ticked all the boxes for me in what I wanted to see in a drama thriller film. And Del Toro really knocked it out of the park. Feels like it has been forgotten about, but for me, is definitely up there with one of my favorite Guillermo del Toro movies. The Northman finishes with two guys fighting naked on a volcano. This Robert Eggers' third movie was a blast from start to finish. The delving into Viking Norse lore, to just the cinematography, to the visuals that you just get when it comes to the dream sequences. It is a very well made revenge story. It's very unique in its own way, and is honestly one of those films you definitely have to watch. If you're just starting to get into Robert Eggers movies, this is definitely the more wider audience friendly of his films, but it's a fantastic movie that more people should check out. Like I say, this is a list of my favorites of the year. I won't say these are always going to be the best movies ever. And Sonic 2 for me is the first great video game movie. It is honestly astounding how far video game movies have come. There are still some disappointments in there, but for the most part, they are no longer absolutely awful. And the characterizations in this are fantastic. We are introduced to Knuckles and Tails, who are played perfectly. Tails once again played by the person that voiced them in the original games. Tails is absolutely perfect, and Idris Elba steals the show as Knuckles. While there is some arguments over the characterization of Knuckles in this, he's always been the hot-headed meathead, and canonically, his first introduction in the games was being manipulated by Eggman, which carries on throughout this. The dynamic between these three is absolutely fantastic, and Jim Carrey once again is being a lot of fun to witness as Dr. Robotnik. Glass Onion was the sequel to Knives Out. It had a very limited theatrical run and is now on Netflix, and I highly implore everyone to check this movie out. It honestly takes what Knives Out did and turned it up to 11. If Knives Out reshuffled the deck on what a whodunit story should be, Glass Onion took that premise from Knives Out, stuck it in a blender, chucked in a few spirits, and made a blended cocktail out of it, and it is absolutely fantastic. The performances across the board are fantastic in this, and the way this story just unfolds is second to none. It was definitely a big highlight of the festival for me, and it's definitely a film that a lot more people should be checking out. A few years ago, I made a video covering the career of Matt Reeves and why I feel like he's an underrated director. And I claimed in that video that he was going to prove that he is a fantastic director with The Batman. And The Batman, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. This film exceeded all my expectations. Whilst there is something to be desired when it comes to the portrayal of Bruce Wayne as the character in this, it still worked out fantastically. Gotham as a character in itself was fantastic. The casting of Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz as Batman and Catwoman, respectively, is brilliant. Paul Dano is absolutely terrifying as the Riddler. A stereotypically not terrifying character was made to be an outright horror villain in this, and the Batman just worked for me in every single way. I'm so glad it lived up to all the hype. The Whale is the Brendan Fraser return, and it is coming out technically this year, but I managed to see it last year at the London Film Fest. And this film devastated me beyond all means. Obviously, Brendan Fraser is getting the well deserved praise for this, and I really hope he does win some of the big awards for it. If he doesn't win the big one, which is currently being headed by Austin Butler, I do hope he gets some redemption and his big comeback is made fantastic. Hong Chow is also brilliant in this, as well as Sadie Singh, who, wow, is playing a bit of a Max Mayfield character again. She does do enough different in that performance to warrant it being its own standout character. Everyone in this movie is just fantastic. The way it's a stage play just works really well, but you will come out of this movie absolutely devastated. So that is my one big warning to you when you do eventually go to see this movie. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. There were three Pinocchio movies this year. I only watched one of them, which was this one. And this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I love stop motion. I love how it embraces the Italian roots of the story of Pinocchio. I love how it changed not only the narrative and the story, but the themes as well and what it means to be a real boy. The way it looks at death as a beautiful thing and how precious life actually is. This movie was absolutely flawless for me, and I really hope they do go out and try and go for that Best Picture nomination for it because this film definitely deserves it. Now, this is a film that is not up here for its technical wizardry or its complex storytelling. It's a very simple story told in 2.5 hours about a girl that is a bit short tempered but cares about her friends, who's very bright in school and having her whole soul and personality slowly crushed by the industry of externships in South Korea, where she is eventually driven to take her own life. And the latter half of that movie being an investigation as to what caused her to end her own life. The accuracy, as someone who used to work in the call center, to how they portrayed call centers and how targets focused they are, and just the anger I felt that the only people that felt any sort of regret or grief at this person taking their own life were the people that had no responsibility for her making that decision, and those that did have all the responsibility just either victim blaming or dodging the question or trying to make themselves look better. It is a very indicting analyzation of human nature and how we always want to try and make ourselves look better, but we fail to do anything until after the fact. This is finally going to be in its release at some point this year. I've seen it on IMDb. It has been announced for release in several territories. So when this does come out, please watch this movie. If Parasite did a lot for the terrible basement living conditions in South Korea, then this film should really put a magnifying glass on the extern shits that take place down there. Top two was a toss up. It really was, but Top Gun Maverick for me had to take the second slot because this film has no right in any way, shape, or form to not only surpass its original, but to easily be one of the best blockbuster movies ever made. With all these legacy sequels that we keep getting that are soulless and without any passion behind it, Top Gun Maverick shows Hollywood once and for all how a legacy sequel should be done. The character of Maverick is fantastic. His relationship with Goose's son in this is brilliant. I love how we get another Maverick in this that is the antagonist, like the reverse between Maverick and Iceman in the original one. This film just worked so well. This was a film that I did not breathe for the last hour of the movie. The first thing I did when the credits started rolling was take a big breath. Watching this on the big IMAX screens with the speakers and watching these jet sequences, it was adrenaline fueled, it was emotional. The way it handled Val Kilmer's real life condition in this was very, very well handled. Top Gun Maverick is what a blockbuster should be, and hopefully, this means that any more legacy sequels we get in the future will have a bit more passion behind it than we have had in previous years. But without further ado, let's go to that number one position. Everything Everywhere All at Once. As you all know, I love movies, as does everyone that spends the time talking about movies on the internet. And what I love about Everything Everywhere All at Once, even with all the hype going in, was the fact that this movie pushed the boundaries on what you could do on a live action screen. I'm obviously a big fan of anime and animation, but live action I've always established as being a very limited medium what you could do. But Everything Everywhere All at Once said, scratch that, we're going to try and do whatever we can and make this film as out there as possible, but still keeping it grounded and giving it a very emotional core. The return of the guy who played Short Round in Indiana Jones. I'm not going to pronounce his name off the top of my head because I'm going to butcher it really badly, but he steals the show. The visuals, the action set pieces, the emotional pieces, everything everywhere, all at once is everything a movie should be and more. And I'm so glad that even many, many months after its release, it's still in that conversation. Usually, if something releases pre August, it is like cut out from the conversation of awards come year's end. Both this and Top Gun Maverick are still in the conversation, and I really hope this film gets all over it deserves come award season. If you haven't treated yourself to this, expect weirdness, but watch it because you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not. So that is my list for the year 2022, and this year I am going to be getting more reviews out. Last year I was really inconsistent, and I do apologize for that. I do still love making movies and watching movies, and I aim to get at least one review out a week from this point going on, so you can hold me to that. What is your favorite film from last year? Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Are there any gems that I potentially missed out on? Do let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video from this channel. But until next time, everybody, Happy New Year. My name is Josh. I have been your movie apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.